well, it looks like Freddie's not giving us the kind of behavior that we need in the classroom, so we need to pull out some strategies from our behavioral psychology and see what we can do to turn around this behavior. What we're talking about in that situation there is wanting to extinguish an undesired behavior. You'll notice I'm using very scientific terms, no emotion there. Extinguishing an undesired behavior. What kind of options are available to a teacher? One is to ignore the behavior. It's possible this might work, especially if the behavior was meant to get the teacher's attention. Then by ignoring it, the student gives up that strategy. However, that may not work. What else is possible? Well, there's timeout and any other kind of removal punishments where you take away something valuable. For instance, timeout takes away social contact, which most humans really, really enjoy. Well, you don't get it anymore. For the next 5 minutes or for the next hour, you don't get social contact. You will have to be separated. Or maybe it's taking away a privilege. Whatever it is, it's something that's taken away to remove or extinguish a behavior you don't want happening anymore. There is also corporal punishment, inflicting physical pain to extinguish a behavior. Obviously, this is controversial, but we have to mention it because it is a type of extinguishing behavior. And you would need to check with your school, your district, to see if that concept even exists, and if so, how is it handled? But when you look at all three of those things, just remember, they are all meant to be scientific procedures. They're all meant to be handled without emotional content being tossed out into the situation. Now, on the other hand, you would want to spend a lot of your time promoting desired behavior, behavior you do want to see consistently. And let's see what kind of strategies you have for that available to you. There's the Premack principle. You will get what you want, but to get it, you may have to do some things you don't particularly like. All right? Eat your peas and carrots, and dessert is on its way. Simple. Watch those peas and carrots go down fast. There's shaping behavior. You reward an approximation of what your end goal is. Your student may not be able to just turn on and off an undesired behavior, so you reward approximations of the right behavior until finally you've got it going. And again, scientific without emotional content, especially without negative emotional content, although encouragement, of course, would always be appropriate. There are other behavior modification strategies that you have available. The contingency contract. Now with that, it's often done with an individual. Let's set up a chart. And on this chart, we'll set up increments of, say, 15 minutes. Or we'll set up increments of subject times when we have math, when we have reading, when we have spelling. And if you can give us the desired behavior during that time, I'll put a check mark. And the next increment, check mark. And when you can get 3 in a row, or 8 out of 10, or whatever you set the contract to be, then you will get a reward that is of your choosing, one that you've already told me ahead of time you would like to receive. Token economy works really well when you have a whole classroom to manage. So in this case, the teacher is looking around at everybody, sees desired behavior, walks over and hands them play money or some other little token, and the students collect their tokens. And when they've reached a certain number, they can trade them in for prizes or privileges. Something to be thinking about, though. If you're going to do a token economy, your students need to know this ahead of time. Can they have a token taken away from them if, after getting a token, later on they perform some undesirable behavior? I'm not saying one way or the other whether you should or shouldn't have that built into your system, but it is important your students know that it's possible that a reward can be taken back if you want to have that kind of setup. These two strategies, for individuals and for groups, these two strategies are particularly good in classrooms, say, for emotionally disturbed students with special needs, where behaviors can get out of control very quickly, and you want to keep something running smoothly all the time with individuals and with groups. Also, consider individual incentives or group incentives. For instance, if everybody cooperates and we get the morning finished up with all the things we need to do, then in the afternoon we'll have a pizza party. If everybody participates correctly in this next field trip that we have, then at the end of the week we will watch a movie. Okay? So you set up something where in some future time, next hour, end of the week, sometime, they will get a reward if the behavior you want is kept going. Now, let's get to can actually be a very touchy subject. We're going to talk about praise. And at first you think, oh no, there couldn't be anything wrong with praise. How could there be anything wrong with praise? Everybody loves to be praised. Well, let's take a look about this whole concept of praising your students. You've probably heard statements like this. I like the way Jack is sitting quietly. I like the way Jill did her project very neatly and it's all correct. Now, what is it that's being said here, shall we say, subtext, under the surface, when a teacher talks like that? Well, the teacher is trying to create a ripple effect. Now, the ripple effect is a term for saying something to one individual loud enough for everybody to hear it and try to copy what was receiving praise. But it can backfire. If you praise a student loudly, besides the fact that you might cause some embarrassment, you can also generate a feeling among other students, I can't do that. I can't do that work as well as she did it. I can't behave as well as he does. I give up. There's just no way I'm going to do it. And so the ripple effect suddenly ripples back on you, and suddenly you've got a classroom of students who, instead of trying really their best to copy that desirable behavior, reject it. And now where are you? So give it some thought. And also, we might come around to this at another time, give some thought about the idea of praise being something different from, let's say, encouragement. And we can look at that at another time. Some of the things that take the place of praise but don't have quite the same, possibly negative effects. So, set yourself up with a reward so that when you finish this video, you've gone through questions and you've gone through the readings and maybe you've rewound and played this video again. Give yourself a contingency reward. Decide what it is ahead of time that you're going to reward yourself with. Manjat.